So I put together a list of 7 towns across America that look completely fine, normal even, like the kind of place you'd stop for gas and a sandwich and think nothing of it. But every single one of these places has a second version of itself that only comes out after dark, and that version is not friendly. We're talking towns where the vibe doesn't just shift at night, it flips entirely. Like someone threw a switch and swapped out the welcome mat for something you really don't want to read. You're not ready for what's next. Number 1, Dudleytown, Connecticut. Picture yourself driving through northwestern Connecticut on a fall afternoon, stone walls running along both sides of the road, leaves doing that whole orange and red thing, and it looks exactly like a postcard. Normal, pretty even. So why did every single person who ever actually lived in one specific clearing in those woods either die young, lose their mind, or just disappear? The Dudley family brought this thing over from England in the 1740s, and whatever it was, it stuck to that land hard. There's a documented case of a farmer who left his property for a single afternoon and came home to find his wife had completely lost her grip on reality. No explanation, just gone, mentally, in a few hours. By the early 1900s, the whole settlement sat empty, and not because of anything you could point to on a map. No flood, no fire, no economic collapse. People just stopped being able to stay. Number 2, Centralia, Pennsylvania. And if you thought Dudleytown was unsettling, Centralia, Pennsylvania is the one where the danger isn't historical. It's geological. It's happening right now, under the actual ground, today. In 1962, somebody lit a trash fire in the wrong spot. It caught an exposed coal seam underneath the town, and 60 years later, that fire is still burning. Pennsylvania spent over $42 million trying to stop it and eventually just gave up. The fire has chewed through roughly 400 acres of coal, and geologists project it'll keep burning for another 250 years. Let that sink in. During the day, Centralia looks like a weird art project. The old Route 61 is cracked and spray-painted and kind of cool-looking, the way broken things sometimes are. Tourists snap photos and post them. But after dark, the steam vents glow orange. The cracks in the road show actual light from below. The ground in certain spots tops 150 degrees Fahrenheit, and the carbon monoxide levels the government recorded before evacuating residents were high enough to cause brain damage. The town's official population is 4 people, and they're only still there because a legal agreement lets them stay until they die. The daytime photos never show the glow. Number 3, Jerome, Arizona. Jerome, Arizona sits on the side of Mingus Mountain at a 30-degree angle, which is already a questionable life choice, but the angle isn't even the weird part. The town is physically sliding down the mountain. Slowly, but actually moving, and has been for decades. Back in the early 1900s, Jerome had 15,000 people and a copper mining operation that blasted so much dynamite underground that the entire hillside went structurally unstable. The old jail slid 225 feet from where it originally stood. By the 1950s, the population had cratered to about 50 people, and the place earned the title of largest ghost town in America. Today, it's got wine bars and art galleries, and it's genuinely charming in a tilted, slightly off way during the day. But at night, the streets get steep and dark, and the buildings creak, and locals deal with doors that won't stay shut because the frames have warped from years of the ground slowly moving underneath them. The mine shafts are still down there, still open in places. And over 100 people died in those mines, which, combined with the violence that came standard with boomtown life, a red light district, and a population that never stopped turning over, gives Jerome more documented ghost sightings per capita than almost anywhere else in Arizona. The Jerome Grand Hotel, built in 1926 as a hospital, has logged more reported paranormal incidents than most places in the entire Southwest. The ground is still moving. The shafts are still open. Number 4, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Over 100 people in Point Pleasant, West Virginia reported seeing the exact same thing between November 1966 and December 1967. Large, gray, winged, roughly human-shaped, with red eyes, and fast enough to keep pace with a car doing 100 miles per hour. Then the Silver Bridge collapsed into the Ohio River on December 15, 1967, killed 46 people, and the sightings stopped completely. And these weren't a group of friends hyping each other up. Separate individuals, couples, whole families across multiple counties, all describing the same creature independently over 13 months. Some needed medical attention afterward. One woman had a full breakdown. A contractor named Newell Partridge watched his TV go to static, saw his dog bolt toward the woods, and never got the dog back. Today, Point Pleasant sells Mothman plushies and hosts a festival every September, and during the day, that's genuinely fun. But the TNT area, the abandoned World War II igloos in the wildlife preserve where the first sightings happened, locals won't go there after dark. They just won't. Number 5, Sleepy Hollow, New York. Sleepy Hollow literally voted to rename itself in 1996, and it wasn't close. Well, actually it was. 52% to 48%, which means nearly half the town didn't want to become a Halloween brand and got outvoted. Now they do pumpkin festivals, haunted hayrides, a headless horseman parade, the full package, and it works. Tourists love it, but strip all that away and you've got a town sitting in an actual hollow, which means fog rolls off the Hudson River and just stays there, pooling in the low spots, swallowing the cemetery, going nowhere. The old Dutch church cemetery has graves from the 1600s. The bridge Irving wrote about is still standing. And Irving wasn't making this scary stuff up. He collected it from Dutch settlers who genuinely believed a Hessian soldier was out there, headless, because of a cannonball during the Revolutionary War. That fear was real and documented before Irving wrote a single word. Come November, when the festival crowds clear out and the decorations are still hanging and the streets go dead quiet, the fog doesn't leave. Number 6, Savannah, Georgia. Savannah gets ranked one of the most beautiful cities in America constantly, and honestly, fair. The squares are gorgeous, the Spanish moss hangs just right, the cobblestone streets look like a movie set. It photographs like an absolute dream. But Savannah also has more human remains per square mile than almost any other city in the country. Because when the city expanded in the 1800s, planners just paved over the burial grounds instead of moving them. Colonial Park Cemetery, which tourists visit every single day, had Union soldiers moving headstones around for fun during the Civil War, so the markers and the bodies no longer match up. The graves are still there. The names are just wrong. Ground-penetrating radar has found human remains under streets, under parking lots, under buildings where people eat brunch on Sunday mornings. The 1820 yellow fever epidemic alone killed roughly 10% of the city's population, and those bodies went into the ground fast without formal records, and nobody has a complete map of where. Number 7, Terlingua, Texas. Terlingua, Texas has a population somewhere between 50 and 300 people depending on the season and who's actually bothering to count. It's not abandoned. It's just barely alive, which is somehow worse. The Chisos Mining Company ran mercury operations here through the early 1900s, paid workers in company scrip that only spent at company stores, housed them in company buildings, and when the mercury market collapsed after World War II, just left. The equipment, the buildings, the cemetery, and the workers, most of them Mexican laborers whose full names the company never recorded, got left behind equally. The crosses in that cemetery have no last names on them. Today there's a bar, a trading post, and every November the Chili Championship pulls thousands of people out to the middle of absolute nowhere. But when those crowds drive back out, Terlingua goes completely dark and completely silent, and the nearest hospital sits over an hour away on roads with zero cell service.